Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. Today we're going to be presenting our proposal for our senior design. It's a biodiesel pretreatment system. Our team is composed of Fabian Torres, Harrison Mejia, and myself, Rene Rodriguez, and our advisor is Dr. Schematic. Next slide. So biodiesel is mainly made from vegetable oils as well as animal fats. It's produced through a chemical reaction called transesterification, which is when the glycerin is removed from the actual oil itself, and what's left behind is the actual biodiesel. If you guys take a look at the chart, it shows that from the year 1999 through 2011, in the United States, around 1.1 billion gallons of biodiesel were produced. In a 13-year span, also if you look in 2012, the same amount was created. This shows a drastic increase in the actual production of the biodiesel, and as the years go on, we can actually expect these numbers to increase. With this being said, for our specific prototype, we'll be concentrating on the biodiesel that's strictly created from vegetable oil, and more specifically waste vegetable oil. Waste vegetable oil is pretty much just regular cooking oil that, although it still contains all of the important properties that are required in order to make the biodiesel, it also contains a high content of water as well as debris. It can be classified into two main categories. We have yellow grease and we have brown grease. Yellow grease is just simply recycled cooking oil that usually restaurants will store in containers, whereas brown grease is the actual grease that has escaped through the sewer system and is caught by grease traps. As you can see in the picture, the brown grease is the one all the way to the right, and you can see it has kind of like a cloudiness to it. This is due to a high content of water, so usually the brown grease will be much sturdier than the yellow grease. So our objective is to design and create an actual prototype that will purify this waste vegetable oil to obtain an actual purity of the oil that is acceptable by the biodiesel producing companies. We will be re-engineering a non-functioning prototype. Actually, another senior team started this 2 semesters ago alongside with Dr. Schematic. However, the results they obtained weren't good, so we're moving on from where they left off. So overall, one of our main goals is to design a system which can actually be adjusted to the specific initial content of the WVO. Like I mentioned earlier, we have different classifications within it. So depending on whether we have yellow grease or brown grease or anything in between going in, our system can actually be adjusted by the user in order to satisfy the actual needs of that system. Fabian's going to further explain to us the prototype.
Okay, our prototype is comprised of 4 main components. We have 4 tanks, we have 1 centrifugal pump, 4 filters, and 2 heaters. As you can see here, this is a pump that we'll be focusing on, as well as one of the filters. Now this is a schematic that we have. As you can see, the WVO, or waste vegetable oil, is going to be poured into the heat and settle tank, in which it will go through a series of filters. And due to the gravity, the water and any leftover debris will fall through the funnel and go through the residue and free water tank. There's also going to be a 45-degree angle feed that goes straight to the water evaporation tank, in which you have a vent and a heater that will evaporate any extra water that we have. As the oil flows through the system, it eventually reaches the centrifugal pump. As stated by Rainier, there's going to be a classification of content of water and debris based on the oil, and whether it is at a certain range, it could either exit the centrifuge and exit and go straight to the final product, or it can go through a series of more filters, in which you will have a membrane filter as well as a water absorption filter, which eventually would lead to one nozzle at the end, and it will spray a surface area, a thin surface area where it will help evaporate any extra water that we still have.
Okay, so our design would allow for the reduction in petroleum that would be used, which therefore reduces the amount of emissions, such as carbon monoxide, unburned hydrocarbon sulfates. It also allows us to increase local businesses, as well as any businesses where this design can be implemented, or anywhere around the world that depends on diesel. So any country that may depend on diesel, such as, or continents such as Central America, South America, Europe, anywhere where personally owned vehicles are diesel-based or utility vehicles that function on diesel. It can also be used in mobile applications such as forward observation bases, where or Humvees and other vehicles depend on diesel. So our estimated cost is just under $1,700 for the entire prototype, but one of our challenges is to use as many of the current components on the current prototype and add to that. So our projected cost would be just under $800 as long as we keep the predicted components in our prototype. Okay, So in conclusion, our final product would allow for high purity in oil for the production of biodiesel, and it can be used globally, obviously depending on where the diesel, or wherever diesel is used, and also it's an advancement in green energy revolution.
Questions? Yeah.
More like a suggestion, you guys said you sprinkle the oil and then you have it in a thin surface layer, or a surface area. Do you guys ever consider using like splash fill or like something that increases that surface area so you can get more evaporation?
Yeah, so after doing some research, we found out that the whole point of the nozzle is actually that it does increase the actual surface area. So instead of just having the actual oil just fall into the final tank, it'll actually spray it out. By increasing the surface area, it gives it more time for the water, any leftover water, to actually evaporate out of the system. So that's why kind of what we're leaning towards doing that.
Okay, could you bring back your proposed design schematic slide, please? Yeah, could you make that a little bit clearer? Yeah, probably
Okay.
some color.
Yeah, we were trying to, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Do you have timeline for testing?
We actually did have a timeline on the PowerPoint, but we took it off because we figured that we weren't going to make the time. So we can add that back on.
We'll have it because if a question is
Yes.
asked, you can go back and show it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the IAB folks will ask questions about timeline.
Okay,
Timeline,
that's
right.
test sharing,
Okay, so
cost
we'll put it back on then, okay.
Yes.
And also the division of labor, who's doing what on the timeline.
Yeah, we literally had that one slide
Yeah,
with both, but we took it off, so we'll put them back on.
Yeah. But don't spend any time on it during the presentation, just have it there in case there are questions.
Okay, so just, okay. Sounds good.
Keep it there.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.